Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Good morning. I am not JP Peterson. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here as JP is on vacation. Happy hump day. Lots of stuff to talk about today on this show. Of course, I think there is some sigh of relief, if you will, with the Tampa Bay Rays. But before we get into that, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host here. Here we go, Mr. Harry the Greek. Welcome to the JP Peterson Show, my friend. How are you doing this morning? As JP is on vacation, so we will try not to destroy this show so much or too much, if you will. Good morning to you.
You know, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Hey, JP, how are you? I know you're watching this. We are gonna really make this pop today.
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
What's happening, Pete? What are you doing?
Well, we're trying to host a show here, of course, on the Strike 102.5 HD2 as the Tampa Bay Lightning are getting ready tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just talked about the Tampa Bay Rays as a sigh of relief, if you will, has fallen on the Tampa Bay area as just a couple games ago, it seemed like the Tampa Bay Rays season was over with. Panic, panic, panic. Pitching was
what a far cry from last year, right, Peter?
Right.
We're gonna go 162-0. Oh my God, we're the greatest things in sliced bread. And I went, hey guys, whoa, Nelly, whoa. It's a long season, man. You know what? This is the only game in any sport that you're gonna fail more than you're gonna succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, really think about it.
Yeah.
You know, God bless my brother. God rest his soul, man. I miss him. He was a baseball savant, and he would sometimes say, how would he put it? And he goes, you know, brother, he says, baseball, if you got to think about this. It's the only sport where you're taking a round object and trying to hit another round object, and you have less than a half of a second to process it from your brain to the object. In the beginning, I was like, bro, seriously, you need to put the weed down. That's not good. It's not good. But you know what? In all honesty, he's right. Think about it.
Yes.
It's one of the most difficult things to do.
Yeah.
In all of sports.
All right. So we'll talk about your Tampa Bay Rays big win last night over the Texas Rangers 5-2. Definitely got some questions. The phone lines are open, but we're going to hold off right now. I know I got the scrawled up there to call in, but just hold off. I know that you want to call in, talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are also on my mind as always, because as you know, I host the Sports Web. My big question today for Bucs fans, because I'm going to ask all kinds of questions like we always do here on the JP Peterson Show. What is the biggest need for this team right now? Is it offensive line? Is it edge? What do you think? We'll definitely talk with JC Allen at 10:15 of Sports Illustrated. At 10:30, we will talk to Coach David Zimmeroth of DZ Sports, who will break down some Final Four action, recap USF, of course, a couple weeks ago. It's been a little bit since I've been on this show, so I definitely want to catch up with him, with Coach Zimmeroth there. And then at 11, we will have El Bushman from the Rays Rewind podcast talking about that big win, getting his thoughts. My prediction at the beginning of the year was Tampa Bay 95 wins. Am I a little bit too optimistic, overly optimistic, if you will? Is that the Tampa Bay sports fan in me talking?
Hang on, do my arms go out? Let them keep going.
Yeah.
That's a real strong reach, bro. This team regressed pretty bad in the offseason. Their best pitchers are in the IR. Okay, I mean, but then again, Tampa, they just keeps. How many more years can you continue to keep sending kids up from the minor leagues up, and all of a sudden they become these superstars? Who knows? On paper, zero chance. You got Boston, who's on the up and coming, and they're not even that good. The Yankees are gonna be the Yankees if they can stay healthy. Hold on. Baltimore is a hell of a baseball team, and Toronto showed you exactly what they're all about. And this year, they're pretty strong. What's your thoughts, Peter?
Yeah, man, it's definitely a tough division. It's always a tough division, but somehow, some way, this team.
I predict 500 or less this year, unfortunately. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer.
Yep.
All those people out there in the J.P. Peterson show and their fan club, I'm sorry. I'm a professional handicapper. I would have to take under this year. But it could be a small rebuilding year from. It's still the Tampa Bay Rays. They're going to be really good, and they're going to be very compelling. It could be worse. You could be a White Sox fan.
Well, there you go. Or a Cubs fan in your case because you're a White Sox fan. At 11:15, the debut of Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. So we'll talk with him about the Bucks, of course, the Rays, his thoughts, big-time baseball fan. And then my human lottery ticket. And why do I call him the human lottery ticket? Because every time I get around this guy, and this goes all the way back to the 820, the team days where I win free all-star tickets because I broadcast a March Madness update, a March Madness broadcast. Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, college football coast to coach at 11:45, talking about March Madness as that is set. We'll get your thoughts on that. Of course, maybe some Bucks. And then once again, not only winning free tickets to the All-Star game, but also this little shiny thing here, getting credentialed through him with Jake Paul. So we'll definitely talk with him. And then as always, this is a fully interactive show here. We want your phone calls. I'll rev it up, as JP would say, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Want to go out to these comments really quick because I'm going to do this all day long. Want you to comment as much as you can here on the JP Peterson Show. Let's go out to Eric. Great win by the Rays. Although, I go back and forth with Eric as he was on the sports web the other night and he was saying the Rays stink. I heard some, fans talking about how
that was hilarious.
Fire Kevin Cash. The sky is falling. Dogs and cats are living together. I mean, what's going on? Guys, it's a long baseball season, so you're exactly right. Welcome, boom, boom. Absolutely. Let's go out to Rick. Difficult to hit a round ball with a round bat in half a second. Blue Jays and Rangers have struggled that much. And I mean, again, it goes back to it. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yep.
And this Rays team, they didn't necessarily finish the greatest in their postseason. I think that's what a lot of people are going to be looking at. And they're also going to be looking at their pitching. And you go back to it last night. That's exactly the kind of quality start you needed from Zach Eflin.
Absolutely. I mean, it was really a good start. But then again, you can't go winless in the season either. I mean, I'm
right.
Eric, stop. Seriously, man. Stay away from the Skyway Bridge. I know you're going crazy because you think this team stinks. This team is not as bad as you think.
No.
They're going to be very entertaining. They're going to play really, really good baseball this year. I just don't think they're winning the division. There's just too many teams that got that much better in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a tough division, as we always talk about. And the questions are, you lose three of your top pitchers, right? So you lose McClanahan, you lose Springs, you lose Rasmussen. You may get them back in the second half of the part of the season.
I don't think Callahan will be back, though, Pete. I think that's a pretty significant injury. I think he's out till next year, if I'm not mistaken.
Springs and Rasmussen.
Yeah, but
possibly back.
But honestly, they still have these kids in the minors, and they got a hell of a farm system, Pete. I mean, they can bring some of these guys up. I mean, and who's to say they can't go back to the old days where you bring the kids up and you run bullpen games every day?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that didn't necessarily work out in their favor on Sunday, as Sean Armstrong wasn't very good.
I get it. I get it. But then again, it's so much easier to figure out a young pitcher after the third time of seeing them around, which is usually 5-6 innings. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If the pitcher has a team, stifled for the first two at bats, generally their third at bat, they're going to have some tremendous success, or they're going to have some sort of success. Yeah. And, that's why I do like those bullpen games. And I'm one of the few that do like it. And by the way, I was the one that used to kick and scream, Pete, and say, oh my God, that they're just taking away from the game of baseball. What kind of crap is that? It's not the case. Yeah. I mean, that was brilliant when Madden did it. Absolutely brilliant when he started that down here in Florida.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines here before we get JC Allen of Sports Illustrated. Let's go out to the man that we've been mentioning here on this show, Mr. Eric How do you feel
What's
about
up,
your
man?
Tampa Bay Rays beating the Texas Rangers? Welcome to the JP Peterson Show on this
Man.
happy hump day edition.
They still stink,
Yeah.
right?
No, you guys are right. It's gonna be a back and forth season. You guys was right, man. What guys? It's gonna be funny though. We're gonna win one, lose one, win one, lose one. It's gonna be back.
That's what typically
Well-
happens in baseball.
Listen, it comes down to meatloaf. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and that's what you're going to try to do today. You win that second game of the
You know, you're going to have to explain the meatloaf pun to him, right?
Yeah, it's a song from the 70s, I believe.
Late 70s. It's not something that you eat with ketchup on it, Eric.
Which, by the way, is acceptable on this show. You know, we always talk about hot dogs on the
Oh, my
Chicago
God.
hot dogs.
Lord have mercy.
Eating ketchup on a hot dog. You can eat ketchup.
JP, if you're watching the show, please forgive him, for he
JP,
know
so
not what he does.
I want listen, we can throw it out there. If you want to talk hot dogs today, Chicago hot dogs. I've never had a Chicago hot dog.
Oh,
No,
my God.
I've never.
Oh, my God.
I've had
Lord,
a regular
blasphemy. My friends will never speak to me again if you ever admit that again.
especially
Mustard
Tom
on
Banner.
hot dog.
Go ahead, Eric.
How do you guys eat you guys hot dogs? Mustard or ketchup though?
Both ketchup and spicy mustard. Sorry. All right, Eric. Appreciate the call.
Thanks for calling in, Eric. Have a great day.
He's stuck on the hot dog thing.
Yes, he is. That's okay. It's not hard.
Well,
Get it?
there you go. Well, oh geez. Okay. All right. So yeah, we got a great show ahead here talking about, of course, as always, your Tampa Bay Rays, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My question out there for Rays fans, what do you think so far? Can they take this series today versus the Rangers, of course? What's the Bucs' biggest need? Who do you got in your Final Four? You've been watching this basketball tournament, and then we'll take a break here in just a moment. But who do you got? You're a handicapping extraordinaire of the sports web. Well, what's this matchup to you looking like to go forward? Who do you think is going to be in the championship? I think UConn
UConn's winning it all. I predicted this mid part of the year, but I'll be honest with you, what upsets? But I'll tell you what makes me feel better about UConn, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
That game against Illinois. Well, first off, Iowa State was favored against Illinois.
Yeah.
And I had Iowa State going further than what they did, and Illinois beat them. What in the world was that? 23-23 against UConn. I'm like, man, Illinois is something for real. Boy, can you imagine if they beat them? The moment that came out of my mouth for 55 minutes, not clock minutes, for 55 minutes, Illinois went scoreless in that game. I want you. You know how hard that is to do, Peter?
Mm-hmm.
I wish JP was here. He'd be like, no, it isn't. He's going to have to check that stat because JP's that stat guy. Okay. They went 55 minutes without scoring a point. UConn went on a 30-0 run.
Yeah.
And after that, I went, who's beating this team?
Right. That's my pick to win it all. So we'll get into that with Coach David.
I thought Tennessee might have had a chance.
Yeah.
There were a couple teams I thought may have a chance, but it's everybody's here and UConn's here. And the best team doesn't always win, but man, are you kidding me?
All right, we'll come back.
30-0 run.
30-0 run by UConn. So we'll definitely talk to Coach Dave Zimroth at 10:30. And then, of course, TJ Reeves, who's been covering it, wall-to-wall coverage with Jason Powers. So I know there's a lot of basketball fans out there. I know there is a lot of hockey fans out there as the Lightning are preparing for Toronto tonight in a big game, kind of cooled off by the Red Wings. And, of course, lots of Bucs fans. We got J.C. Allen coming up. Let's go out to break. And, again, when we come back, the main question for me is, what's the biggest need for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Is it offensive line? Is it edge? Stay with us here on the JP Peterson Show. Be back in about 3 minutes. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Harry the Greek. Here we go.
JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank. And I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta. Big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online, and for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake along with Harry the Greek. Open phone lines here, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391 as we await Mr. J.C. Allen of Sports Illustrated. Definitely want to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Want to get your thoughts on how do you feel about how this team has done through free agency at this point. Of course, this show brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. For any of your legal needs, definitely consider Scott Jeeves and that law group over there and tell them the JP Peterson Show sent you. But with talking about this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team when it comes to free agency, let me get your thoughts really quick, Harry. How do you feel like they've done with all the moves? More than likely re-signing their own players here. And, some analysts out there, national pundits, not giving this team the credit that they deserve, not giving them the respect they deserve, much like last year, because they re-signed their own players and a Mike Evans and a Baker Mayfield, etc., Levante David, as we talk about on the sports web. But your thoughts on how the Bucs did in free agency so far?
Great question. First and foremost, they're not done. Okay, because the next wave comes after all the roster cuts are made, and everybody's talking about, well, which is most needed? Is it edge rusher? Is it offensive lineman? Is it this defensive player? Is it? Look, man, in my opinion, they did very well in the offseason The draft is coming up. I think you take the best offensive lineman you possibly can at that pick that they have. Not an edge rusher, because honestly, there's going to be some high dollar, high motor, very high skilled guys that they're going to be able to get on the cheap for 1-year deals when they get cut from their respective teams. They may not be spring chickens and they may be getting up there in tenure, but let's be real, man. Majority of these guys still going to have something to prove. And I think they can come in and be very beneficial and really help out this Buccaneer organization. But I, myself, think they've done very well in the offseason by signing their players. Your thoughts, Pete?
No, I think so. And look, Jason Light even talked about it. If they can re-sign, and they want to re-sign Antoine Winfield Jr., of course, they got him on a franchise tag. They want to re-sign Tristan Wirfs. They would have a boat parade. Of course, I asked them that, and they would have a boat parade, and they should, because getting all your players re-signed is important, especially, with the expectations. But I'm kind of miffed by it. Why the expectations from the national media, and you know this all too well. What's the Vegas line looking like right now? Is it 7.5? Is it 8 wins for them this year? And why is it so low? Why aren't more national media? Why isn't Vegas giving them the respect that they deserve? Is it the Kirk Cousins effect with the Atlanta Falcons? Which, by the way,
You're stealing my thunder.
well, Cousins is going to the Atlanta Falcons, and
You got to ask the question and let me answer this one.
Okay, what's the question?
They're not going to get the respect, Peter, just like they didn't last year. And that's exactly where you want this team to be. What, do you want everybody to be talking about the Buccaneers, that they're going to be the second coming of Christ? They just signed the best quarterback in the world, Baker Mayfield. They're going to go undefeated like the New England Patriots? No.
Yeah.
You want this team to be challenged. You want the media to be down on them, because that is what makes a team want to play better. Okay?
Now,
All right. So here's the bottom line. What's the over-under on it? Everybody knows me. I am not a big advocate on betting proposition bets.
did you bet on this team last year?
Yes, I did. I made money. I already told you that. I gave that out as one of the prop bets. This year, I'm salivating, and I'm not making that projection. I'm sorry, that prediction, until I see how they address the draft. If they put enough around Baker Mayfield to protect him, this offense will move the chains. The defense, you can address later in the draft. Also, you can address it, in my opinion, in free agent, not the free agency, but when teams are during the roster cuts to get down to their 52, 53-man rosters.
Yeah.
But here's from a betting perspective, Pete. You now have Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They are the predominant favorite in the South as of right now to win that division. And this guy's coming off one of the worst Achilles injuries you're ever going to find. And he's not a spring chicken, and he's not known for winning the big game. And I'm glad that JP's not here, because he loves him some Kirk Cousins.
Oh, sure he does.
I know he does. But I'm telling you, he is not the quarterback that is going to take this team to the promised land. If you wait another month or two, then you can look at the proposition bets and what the over and under is. And I promise you, it'll be some places 5.5, 6. You might even get 6.5. And if that happens, bet the over.
Okay. Bet the over there, Harry the Greek, right there. I tell you what, let's go out to this guy right here, who we would know very well, who started out with the Sports Web, Mr. J.C. Allen here. Well, I don't know what's going on. I think he's got audio only. Well, what's going on?
I'm here. Work calls. So I had to kind of move some things around, but I'm here with you guys. What's going on?
Well, appreciate it. We thought
hey, JC.
Video here, but we got J.C. Allen of Sports Illustrated. And I asked the question coming in here on the J.P. Peterson Show, what is the biggest need for the draft? Is it offensive line or is it edge? I feel like the Bucs have addressed this with getting a veteran like Bredesen from the Giants, Opeta from the Eagles. So you have that guard position, but you didn't address the edge position, and that's where I think their biggest need is. What do you say, JC?
Yeah, I still think edge is probably the biggest need. You really like what you saw to Yaya Diaby last season. I think you can still get really valuable snaps out of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and Anthony Nelson is as steady as they come. They also have two players that they're really high on, and Marquise Watts, who made the roster last year as an undrafted free agent, and Jose Ramirez, who was their 7th-round pick last year. Spent the year in the practice squad, but drew rave reviews from the coaches. And when you talk to guys like Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke, gave them nightmares in practice, especially running scout team and stuff. So they've got some guys that they're comfortable with, but you need that dominant number one edge rusher. You need that guy who teams have to game plan around for and can get you the double-digit sacks year in and year out. Unfortunately, this draft isn't loaded with them. There's about 3 guys that seem to fit that bill, with Dallas Turner, who's projected to go potentially top 10, Jared Verse from Florida State, and then also Laiatu Latu from UCLA. All of them have some concerns. Latu's concerns are more medical. He had to medically retire during his time in Washington with a neck injury. Transferred over to UCLA, was cleared by their doctors, and he's got everything you want in a pass rusher. So I think the likelihood of him falling is a little bit higher than guys like Jared Verse or Dallas Turner to where the Bucs picked, but they certainly need an edge rusher. If they can't get one of those 3 guys, another 1st-round flyer you can take on is a guy like Chop Robinson from Penn State. He tested crazy at the combine. He has all the tools that you can see on tape. But he's more of a developmental guy. He's not going to come in right away and be that top guy, producing for you. There's certainly things that he's got to develop at the next level. The lack of production at Penn State was, kind of alarming. His running mate, Adisa Isaac, had 7.5 sacks. He had 0. So, they were paying more attention to Chop, kind of trying to limit his explosiveness. But that's just what he is. You kind of look at John Ledyard. I know a lot of the Bucs fans are familiar with him. His 4 pillars of pass rush, with bend and speed, athleticism, size. He fits the bill, checks the mark on all of those. It's just a lack of production kind of scares some people away. But, edge has got to be high on their priority in the first maybe 1 or 2 rounds, potentially even 3rd round, if they can't address it. But that's when you kind of start to see the dip of players, and really those guys are more kind of rotational guys as you go further down the draft, more so than guys who can be impact players other than those top 3 I mentioned.
JC, let me ask you, you talk about the offensive line because Harry believes that the offensive line, I've talked to some other people off the air, they believe that's the biggest need. Is there a possibility of a Jackson Powers Johnson there from Oregon as a center, a Drake Barton from Duke? Could they be on the board at 26 simply because there are so many teams, trying to get a quarterback, trying to get to the podium as fast as possible to get one of these wide receivers, that you could get a good offensive lineman like a Powers Johnson or, of course, a Barton?
No doubt. I think, when you look at the interior offensive line, there's a hole right now at guard. They did sign Bredesen. They did bring in Opita. Both guys will compete for the guard. Bredesen will compete for that center spot as well with Hainsey. And both of those players, and even Troy Fatanu from Washington, if he's there, he's a tackle, can kick inside. Those would be great choices. Zach Frazier's got a kind of some steam as a guy who would go in the end of the 1st round, as a center. But when I just look at the board and when I look at what the Bucs tend to do, and I look at the depth of this draft, and I say, okay, where is this draft deep? Well, wide receiver, we know there could be as many as 10 that could go in the 1st round. Cornerback is another deep group of players as well. There's a drop off after the first lot of them, but the next lot is guys who can develop and be number ones. And the offensive line, whether that's tackle, whether that's guard, whether that's even center, there's some prospect flexibility there down the line. So when I look at what Light has historically done, I think that he feels he can find a guard or center in that round 2, round 3 area. Guys like Christian Mahogany from Boston College. Guys
that
like
makes sense. That makes sense.
Mason McCormick from South Dakota State. Dominic Puny from Kansas. There's other guys there. Christian Haynes from UConn. There are a group, Cedric Van Pran, the center from Georgia. There's a large group of guys that could go in that 2nd, 3rd round, and where they're going to be picking. that maybe they feel like they can use him and get them in there to compete with an Opita, to compete with a Bredesen, and find their guy that way. Robert Hainsey struggled last year, but as the season went on, he got better, progressively better as he got more comfortable with the system. Good news is it's going to be a very similar system. And he's in the final year of his deal, so maybe they just kind of ride that out. Obviously, bring in competition like what they've done. But I think when you look at that first round, if you're not getting an edge, you look at, okay, what are the premium positions? Sure. Okay, wide receiver, Chris Godwin's in his contract year. Sure. Mike Evans signed for 2 years, but after that, there's questions. Cornerback, Jamel Dean has not been able to stay healthy. You traded Carlton Davis. They're extremely high on Zion McCollum. He showed very well last season in his 9 starts. Had some hiccups, but that's to be expected as he was thrust in and out of the lineup. Cornerback is one of those premier positions. You don't need left tackle or right tackle because tackle is one of those other premium positions. But could they be tempted to go wide receiver with Brian Thomas Jr.? Could they go
JC,
with A.D. Mitchell and add some speed? Could they go with a Nate Wiggins?
JC, great points. But most centers can play guard. And you're right. They could probably pick one up in the second or even the third rounds if they have the picks that are available going to there. But I honestly think it's still. If you don't put points on the board, you're not winning. And obviously, if you don't stop teams, you're not going to win. And that was the biggest downfall for Baker Mayfield last year. When he had time, he looked incredible. But boy, he really struggled for about half that year. And that had to do strictly because of that offensive line. And for those reasons, and those reasons only, is why I think they need to go center or guard. But, man, you made me see the other parts of that. But wouldn't you agree that most centers can play guard and they can switch back and forth?
Well, yeah, like Graham Barton can play center and guard. I think if you go with like a Mason McCormick, he can play center and guard in the later rounds. He's a guy who can sneak into that second round, third round area is where I have him. But he could sneak into the second round if teams kind of fall in love with him. Jackson Powers Johnson, he's strictly a center. So like that's, if you're getting him, you've got your center. You still have question marks at guard with Bredesen and Opita. That's why I think guard is more likely than center. If I'm just looking at it, I think they feel comfortable. They can roll with Hainsey for his final year of his deal and upgrade that position last year. And if you look at the league too, around the league, there's only a few first round centers that are in the league. Most of these teams are finding them in the third, fourth, fifth round.
No, yeah, I agree.
Guys
how did Hainsey PFF last year? What did he grade out at?
Yeah, what did he grade out at?
I think he graded
because if anybody knows PFF grades, it's you.
Well,
it's like middle of the pack, so it wasn't great. Okay. wasn't terrible.
Because I didn't think he was all that great last year. I thought there was a lot of holes in his game. Do you think he has what it takes, and do you think he can get better this year?
I do. I think when I had Dave Canales on my podcast Pirate Parlay, he kind of admitted that this run scheme isn't a quick to learn type of run scheme that they were running. And when they're implying it in Seattle, it took them about half a season for everyone to feel on the same page with the linemen, the running backs, etc. And you look kind of what the Bucs running game did last season. About midway towards the season, that's when the line started to improve. That's when you saw improvement from Hainsey, and that's when you started to see the running game kind of find its groove. So another year in a similar system. There's not going to be much difference as far as terminology, especially for the big boys up front. I think he can improve on that. I'm not saying he's going to be, a top 10 center being Pro Bowl contention, but I think he can play adequate, slightly above average ball at center. And I think if you can't have Pro Bowlers, all pros at every position, right? So you have to sacrifice at some position most of the time. So, and I still think the plan eventually is to move Cody Moak over there, potentially after next season.
To where?
I think to center.
Wow.
Cody Mock to center?
Yeah. Yes. That was the plan of the previous offensive regime, was to eventually move him to center. Obviously, they're no longer with this team. But yes, I think that's something that they would look into, is moving him over to center. They feel like he's got all the tools, all the tangibles to be able to play that position at a very high level. So
yeah, he better do something this year, because he had a lot of holes in his game last year. Breaking down film and watching him, he was not what I thought he was going to come into the NFL about. But then again,
small
Yeah, the
school
Falcon
guy
the
making a
hump.
position switch. He was a
Yeah,
left tackle, moving to
yep.
right guard. Small school, like
Absolutely.
there's some growing pains to go through there. They're very
Oh, yeah.
excited on him.
But
He
most
kind of
players go through those growing pains, right?
Yeah, and he started to put it together more towards the end of the season. You can see, I mean, he
Oh,
handled
yeah.
DeForest Buckner like it was nobody's business. You know, that was
That
really
was a great
encouraging
game.
to see.
That was a great game.
And I think, you know, when you're a rookie, there's so many things going on that make it harder to focus just on what you're doing, right? You're learning a new city, a new playbook, new teammates, new coaches. You spent half the offseason training for the combine, not for what you're doing.
New
You're not in a
orthodontist.
NFL strength and conditioning program. So now he's got all that from the get, which starts April 15th. So he'll have all of that straight from the get-go. And that will definitely help him improve, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We got JC Allen of Sports Illustrated. One final question, because I know you got to go to work, and I really appreciate your time here on the JP Peterson Show. Wild rumor this week being put out there. I know it's clickbait season, but Chris Godwin on the trade block. Would the Bucs do that? He's got a high cap figure, but you finally get a chance to put him in the offense where he's going to be in his natural position as the slot. Do you think the Bucs would really entertain trading Godwin?
No, not at all. I think, you know, we asked Jason this earlier this offseason, you know, if there's anything or they're doing anything with Godwin as far as extension, as far as restructure. And he pretty much said we're just going to, you know, stand pat and see how everything works out this season. He could be back next year on a new deal. But as far as this season, they're going to play it out. They're going to have Godwin on the inside in the slot. I know talking to Liam Cohen, he's very excited to have him there. They'll have Evans on the outside. I expect Trey Palmer to be in the mix on the other spot on the outside. They're going to go to a lot more 11 personnel this season than they did last year. There's a lot more 12 personnel. 11 personnel means 3 wide receivers on the field. 12 means 2 tight ends.
Ray calls it the jumbo package.
The jumbo.
Right, well, that'd be 13 personnel. With 3
I know,
tight
but
ends.
I mean, we're getting close there. Getting close
so
there.
There'll be a lot more opportunities for him in the slot. Again, we'll see what they do. Again, I wouldn't rule out wide receiver round 1 just because of Godwin's expiring contract, because they do need someone on the outside to potentially challenge Trey Palmer. He showed flashes, but remember, he was a 6th round pick. If you can get 1st round talent, you know, with one of these guys, I think they would definitely look into that, especially a guy like, you know, the kid from LSU, Brian Thomas Jr. So there's definitely, you know, some interesting facets to be worked out as far as what the Bucs do in the draft. I think right now at 26, they would love to have an edge rusher fall there. But if there's not one, I think the board is wide open where they could go, whether that be wide receiver, cornerback, offensive line, trade down, maybe even defensive tackle. They're having Byron Murphy, Texas big guy, in there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe just on Newton if he's there. So there's I think everything's in play. Todd Bowles said at the coaches meeting, you know, they're going to go best player available. That's what the way they're looking at it. I think the best players available on their board is most likely an edge rusher, one of those 3 if they're there. After that, then we'll see what happens. They could trade back. They could take any other position that they feel is the best player at that time.
All right, JC Allen of Sports Illustrated, go ahead and promote yourself here on the JP Peterson Show.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me at JC Allen NFL on Twitter. All of my work is over at Bucs Game Day, powered by Sports Illustrated. So you can check that all out over there. You guys can follow my podcast, Pirate Parlay. We'll be having a live episode tonight with Trevor Sikkema of PFF. We're going to be doing a live mock draft, breaking down the prospects as well, drafting as we do a live 7-round mock draft. So that will be fun tonight. And then I'm going on the Bucs cruise, leaving tomorrow. So stay tuned to my Twitter, my Instagram, same thing. We'll be posting up pictures, videos, you know, all that fun stuff. So if you didn't get tickets, you missed out. Make sure you get them for next year. There's a heck of a group going on this cruise. And yeah, that's where you can find me, follow me, and follow my work.
All right, JC Allen of Sports Illustrated, thanks a lot for your time here on the JP Peterson Show, my friend. We'll see you soon, all right?
Absolutely. And you haven't gotten your copy of Lindy's NFL Draft Magazine, definitely get that copy out there. It's got a full draft preview. Yours truly wrote the Buccaneer section, what their needs are, what the roster looks like, everything like that. So definitely go check that out.
Congratulations,
well.
my friend. As always, hard work pays off, and you are one of the hardest workers in the business. Thanks a lot for your time. As always, JC, there we go right there. Let's go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we will have Coach David Zimroth here breaking down this Final Four matchup and also recapping USF. Of course, this show, the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical. Listen, my oil light came on. I'm 45 years old. I had to get checked out. Got a consultation by Chris Lugo there, Dr. Chris Lugo. Takes 1-2 hours, whatever it is, supplements, where your blood levels are. It's great to definitely get out there. Bay Area Modern Medical, and tell them the JP Peterson Show sent you. We'll be back in 3 here. Keep it locked.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Did you know Steve Weintraub founded the Gold and Diamond Source over 40 years ago by selling gold-plated sand dollars? And to celebrate, the Gold and Diamond Source is selling gold sand dollar jewelry with the proceeds supporting Julie and Steve Weintraub's foundation, Hands Across the Bay. Yes, in 1984, Steve opened their first location, expanded to 9 stores as far as Atlanta, but now they've consolidated all that inventory under one roof, becoming one of the largest family-owned fine jewelry stores in the country. Julie, of course, joined forces with her husband 20 years ago, and they're going to celebrate by offering up to 40% off select jewelry items. Plus, with gold prices near all-time highs, it's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. Unlock the value in your jewelry box today at the Gold and Diamond Source. It's always one place, and it's always a great place. The Gold and Diamond Source celebrating their 40th anniversary, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake along with Mr. Harry the Greek. Open phone lines. I continue to say that. We're going to go with that. We can't get a hold of Coach David Zimroth, so we're just going to go with it. We're going to go with your calls. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. All the great sponsors here, the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical, the Golden Diamond Source, the Italiano Insurance, Extravaganza Productions, the Geddes Law Group there. But by the way, Jane Geddes, I need to have an interview with this lady, and I'll tell you why. Not only is she the mother of Nick Geddes, the producer of this show, but also talent relations, former talent relations for WWE. I know what you don't want to talk about. That's WrestleMania 40. I like to know how she's feeling.
JP Peterson show doesn't want to talk WWE either, okay?
So yes, the Geddes Law Group there, one of the great sponsors of the JP Peterson Show. So we've been talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've been talking about the Tampa Bay Rays after their win last night as they prepare for the Texas Rangers today. Hopefully, like we talked about, Meatloaf, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So we'll see if they can get that done today. What are your thoughts, Rays fans? What about you, Bucks fans out there? What's the biggest need? Is it edge? I say it's edge. JC agrees with me. Then again, you look at your point there, Harry, with, protecting Baker Mayfield. We got to protect your quarterback. You got to protect your quarterback because there were times in this season where Mayfield was under siege.
Listen, I'm going to say it again. They need to protect Baker. And I understand when you spend a first-round pick on a non-sexy pick, and a non-sexy pick is everything that's on the offensive line.
Right.
Everything. That is the most unsexy pick there is to make. But it's probably the most crucial.
Tristan Wirfs called. He wanted to know what you were talking about because that's probably one of the sexiest picks.
With the exception of Tristan. But what I'm saying, when you're drafting an offensive lineman, we got an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
It was kind of
we got Marvin Harrison Jr. There's a big difference there.
Malik Neighbors,
Marvin Harrison, Odunze, whatever his name is, Washington. Those are sexy picks. But you know what? They don't run 50 miles an hour downfield. You still have to protect that guy who's throwing the pill. Last time I checked, Baker Mayfield's not much taller than 6 foot, if he even is 6 foot.
Right. And you don't want to get him hurt because there is some doubt there on what Mr. Kyle Trask has to offer as a backup quarterback. And look, I know there's a lot of Bucs fans out there saying, Michael Penix Jr., I don't think he's there at 26.
He could be, Peter.
But if he is.
But if Minnesota does not take him, Peter, hear me out. If the Vikings don't take Penix Jr., he's fallen right into their lap. Okay. Now what do you do, Bucs fans?
Well,
do you go after a quarterback and you give up on Kyle Trask? Do you still not protect your quarterback and not get that offensive lineman? Or do you go after the premier edge rusher? That's a great question. But one of those quarterbacks, they're going to fall. They're going to fall down. Because Minnesota and the Raiders, they can't have them all.
Right.
And we're talking about the Raiders. Trust me, they'll still screw it up.
Well, you got J.J. McCarthy, who's been talked about possibly going number 2 overall. I can't believe that. I really cannot believe the hype. I'm wondering if this is, Jaden Daniels going in that top 5. We've got to bet ourselves here that if Jaden Daniels goes top 5, top 10, I get a steak dinner. So
I never said that.
You did. You did say that.
Listen, I never even said that. I mean, you fabricate more than my buddy Ray does. Hi, Ray.
Yeah, we'll be getting him on at 11:15. That's a great.
That's why I said that.
Segue, yeah. So yeah, absolutely. It is a bet, and you're definitely. I'm going to hold you to that bet because Jaden Daniels most likely is going to go either 2 or 3. I would assume that he goes to the New England Patriots. But you talk about this quarterback.
I say Jaden Daniels goes ahead.
Might be right.
Of what's the kid's name from Michigan?
J.J. McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy.
See the hype with him? Because I know you're not. You call the Big Ten the Tiny 10.
That's because they are the Tiny 10.
Do you see the hype with McCarthy?
Yeah, he's a great running back that can throw the football.
Okay, so he's a great running quarterback at this point. Did you see?
Like I said, he's a great running back who can throw the football.
All right, let's go on to the comments again.
And there are so many better quarterbacks in this draft, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
We haven't even said anything about Drake May.
Well, we haven't even talked about him. And if you want to talk about the draft when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the question of the day on this show, what is the biggest need for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Is it edge? Is it offensive line? Could it possibly be corner? Would you be okay with a Kool-Aid McCaffrey? See, I feel like
I like him just because of his name.
Well, Kool-Aid McCaffrey or TJ Tampa, which is another corner, but you could probably get him in second, third round. Okay, so I'm not.
My name is Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid, right? Exactly. No 2 calls here, Eric. Sorry, and no spam calls. None of those either. I got spam calling me. It's good to do this show and host the show with Jay.
I like it fried
on vacation, right? It's good because I don't have the opportunity to talk to Esther or Gertrude or Winifred on the phone. Have those spam calls. I get an opportunity here to host the show with you. and all our great guests here on the JP Peterson Show on FanStream Sports. Let's go out to John Hill. When was the last year the two universities had both men and women teams in the Final Four? This year, UConn and North Carolina State. Very odd. And North Carolina State, they're David versus Goliath versus Purdue. You're looking at that situation. It kind of is David versus Goliath. North Carolina State has come out of nowhere.
Yeah, some real big upsets, baby, coming in before they even made it to the into the big dance. I'll tell you what, everybody was writing them off. Oh, they stink, they stink, they stink.
Right.
Look at me now. Boy, if that doesn't tell you the hot hand, they got hot right at the right time.
Well, they did, and you wonder if they can beat Purdue because, and a lot of people thought Purdue coming into this tournament was going to be, a first round exit like always, and Zach Edey there definitely is a man among boys. I mean,
they're
wow.
good players, man. Purdue's
7-4.
got a good team.
Yeah, so it's a good point, and I think UConn, heads and shoulders, especially the men, will win the national championship. Just too much talent, well coached, depth on their bench. I mean, they're just a well-coached basketball team. They're a juggernaut. They haven't really had any difference.
Wouldn't that be something if the men's and women's came from UConn and they won?
Yep.
I mean, that would just be unbelievable, Peter.
Yep, and then women's basketball right now being the story with Caitlin Clark doing what she's done all year long, defeating LSU, Angel Reese. Not necessarily the best loser. We'll just leave that alone with what she had to say. But I get it. They're still kids at the end of the day. She did a lot of trash talking, came out the other night, seemed very humbled, if you will. But it's a very entertaining matchup, very entertaining women's basketball right now. Very entertaining. Christopher Cole says, morning. What's going on, Christopher Cole? One of our great fans of this show and, of course, the Sports Web. John says, when was the last year that 4 conferences had a single team in the men's and women's Final Four? Same conference, Big East, SEC, ACC, and Big Ten. Do you know? I don't.
I don't know. Listen, man. That's a question for Ray Kennedy, or you know what? Mr. PFF man himself.
J.C. Allen's great.
J.C. Allen would know the answer to that in a heartbeat. He's like a human encyclopedia.
He was tremendous with his knowledge. He definitely knows a lot about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the draft.
Ralph.
Going on the cruise. Ralph Williams. Hello, Harry and Peter. Absolutely. Hello, my friend. Nathan says, will J.C. Allen still be on the Bucs fan cruise tomorrow?
Yes.
Will be right there. I can't get on a boat. I just can't. I cannot.
Peter, you're a guy that gets sick in his bathtub.
Well, I have vertigo. So I don't know if I could deal. I don't know if I could deal with it. I really don't. I like to get on a boat one of these
Vertigo
days.
will be drafted high. Did you hear about him?
I've heard about him. You're an idiot. Powers Johnson will be gone to the Steelers.
Am I the only one?
Yes.
Bring that up.
Sure.
With a name, Powers Johnson. Isn't that like the best porn star name there is? I mean, honestly.
Be careful now. Be careful.
Hey, baby, what's your name? I'm Powers Johnson. What a name. My Lord, that's like huge. That's hilarious.
That is huge. That is hilarious. All right, let's go out to Ray Kennedy, who we'll have on at 11:15 here, getting what he has to say about the Rays and, of course, the Bucs, getting his insights as always. As I told him, you could call in. We want to debut Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Bucs need an end, a guard, and a tackle. I don't know about a tackle. I think they're pretty good with Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke. Harry could sit on the end of the bench, guard the water cooler, tackle anybody who comes close. Hansy is good. They could draft a center, but it isn't as big as a need as other positions.
What does he mean, Harry can sit at the end of the bench? What
I
are you
don't
talking about,
I
Ray?
calling you out already.
Put the beers down, Ray. It's okay, buddy.
It's too early for that now, so don't give him
any. Ray will tell you it's 4 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, don't give him any ideas. And of course, we're on the strike here.
Come on over, Ray. I got one for you. You got a highlight.
Christopher Cole, JPJ's stud center. Yes, he is your buddy. He's there. Then you should run up to run to the podium. Absolutely agree with that. Nathan says, we'll be there. We'll be talking to JC. Great stuff. Anwar Nunn, what's up? What's going on with you, buddy? How you doing? What's the 2 biggest needs for the Bucs? I think we kind of addressed them. It's offensive line. And it's also edge, in my opinion, possibly corner. But once again, getting back to it, I buy what Todd Bowles is saying about Zion McCollum. I buy what he's saying about Jamel Dean, even though, Dean was inconsistent last year. I felt like he had his best game before he got hurt versus the Lions. I think you're set there. They go after Breece Hall and free agency. So I think you could go with other needs. And I also think that back end is going to be that much more improved with the bringing back of Jordan Whitehead and the deal that you got with him. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back in 3 minutes here. Once again, you're listening to the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake along with Harry the Greek. When we come back, we will have El Bushman of the Rays Rewind podcast get his initial thoughts of the Tampa Bay Rays at 3-3 right now, playing the Texas Rangers. Can they take the second game of the series? It would be nice. Calm down, a lot of Rays fans out there. So we'll be back here in just 3 minutes on the JP Peterson Show. Keep it locked.
Hey, it's a great time to buy a house and get a mortgage with American Mortgage Services. Okay, I got your attention now. But JP, rates are at 8%. That's true. But I spoke with our friend Scott Fitzgerald at AMS Tampa, and this is what smart people are doing. Rates peaked at 8% last month, but they've come down, and AMS recently locked some folks in the high sixes. Prices have also stabilized or dropped in some areas. So if you're going to eventually buy, now is the best time to get the house you want. Fitz will get you the best rate out there, shopping it around to dozens of lenders. And when rates come down in a year or so and the frenzy begins again, prices go bananas again, you will already have the pick of the litter. Then he will refinance you and keep costs at nearly zero because that's what they do at AMS Tampa. You're back at 4% in the house you wanted while others fight the frenzy. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, NMLS 386-722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you are thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
This is The Strike. 102.5 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake along with Harry the Greek as we are awaiting El Bushman to talk about your Tampa Bay Rays after a huge victory over the Texas Rangers. And I have to say huge. Tim, IndyCar Tim, FanStream there, DSP Media. Great job with John Gerber yesterday. I got to brag about it because he's a big time Rangers fan. And of course, the Rangers coming off the World Series win last year, the first round. So a little revenge exacted by the Rays last night. And again, Eflin pitching well. My biggest concern about this, and you've watched this team and other Major League Baseball teams, Harry, is the walk situation. I feel like their turnovers in sports, and the more walks you have, especially versus a lineup like the Rangers, like the Blue Jays, you give that opportunity, those second opportunities to a good lineup, and they'll definitely make you pay.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll definitely make you pay. They're going to be fine this year. I just love the way everybody. I just, especially doing the last show with you on Monday.
Yes,
everybody was ready to jump off the bridge. This team stinks.
Well, I want to go out to this guy right here because he's about to. Actually, I'm looking for El Bushman, but somebody else was calling, so we'll just wait for him.
Where's the Bushman?
Rays Rewind podcast here. Let me see what's going on here as I'm producing, but. Open phone lines until then. If he's not coming on, we'll go ahead and talk Rays with you. We'll talk Bucks with you. What are your overall thoughts? I get it. It's early. A lot of people saying, I don't know about this Rays team. You've talked about your concerns with this team going forward. What is your biggest? Is it pitching at this point?
Pitching, and more pitching.
Okay.
Their sticks are fine. They play really good defense. That hasn't changed.
Okay.
And for God's sakes, no more outside distractions like there were last year. And I don't want to get into that subject.
Well, no. And, Wander Franco is definitely a distraction that has hurt this team. Let's face it. And there's big time question marks about where you're going to get that production. Of course, now you've also lost Josh Lowe for a little bit. So guys got to come through. And you got Johnny DeLuca, who's out, who you get from the Dodgers there. And in the Tyler Glasnow deal with Ryan Pepio, who had a rough start the other night. But there's still a lot of, it's early there. And I keep on saying that, and it becomes a broken record. But it really is a long season. And I think, the fascinating thing that may favor this Rays team is the fact of you may be able to get on the board.
There's the Bushman.
Yep, I think he's coming on right now. But he's coming on video.
Oh,
we're waiting him on video here. So I'm still. Wait a minute. We got something here coming. Let's see. Let me see here what's going on. Stand by as we're producing online here. I don't know what that is. Somebody breaking news. What's this? What is this now? Bills are finalizing, according to Adam Schefter. Bills are finalizing a trade to send 4-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Stephon Diggs.
I heard this.
To the Houston Texans. Mm-hmm. Wow. So does that put them, and I know we jumped to conclusions, right? But you look how CJ Stroud played well last year as a rookie, and you look at what they've kind of done in free agency. Mm-hmm. Does that put them in that Super Bowl conversation now?
Well, let me ask you this. Did it do anything for Buffalo?
Well,
did it put them in the Super Bowl?
A lot of people would say it's Josh Allen, not Stephon Diggs. Let's go out to the phone lines here. I know this guy wants to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays as we await El Bushman coming on here of the Rays Rewind podcast. Alex, welcome to the JP Peterson Show.
Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for having me as always.
Yeah.
I know this isn't the Sports Web, but I'm still going to talk about some Rays baseball.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
But guys, you guys were just talking about it. Guys, the Tampa Bay Rays are 3-3. If you look at what has happened in the last 6 games, I told you this last year, and I'm going to tell you this again. This is a get healthy year. If you look at all the injuries of what this team is facing, your usual opening day starter of Shane McClanahan already being out.
Okay, and I think we lost Alex. You gotta love technology. You gotta love it. Call back Alex if you want to. Of course, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So the breaking news from Adam Schefter: Stephon Diggs, a 4-time Pro Bowler.
What'd they get for him?
It's a great question. I'm looking at it right now here as it's coming free. Let's see. Just says a draft pick. Let's see.
Probably get a 4th.
Bills receive a 2025 second round pick.
Second round pick?
25 second round pick. So, and there's the Bush right there. And the Texans receive Stephon Diggs in a 2024 sixth round pick and a 2025 fifth round pick. Who made out best in that deal? It looks like the Texans. What are the Bills doing at this point? Why are they moving on? Does that make any sense to you? I'll tell you what.
I need to read this and digest it.
Okay. All right. We'll get back to that in a moment. Let's go out to Mr. Evan L. Bushman of the Rays Rewind podcast, talking about, of course, this Tampa Bay Rays team right there. Welcome to the JP Peterson Show as the Rays are coming off a big win over the Texas Rangers 5-2. Happy hump day, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good. How's it going, fellas? Peter, it's just like I just saw you last night for some reason.
Well, I know. It's great. It's so
What's up, Evan?
Right?
What's up, Harry? It's been a long time, man. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for asking.
I was just getting over the news that Bills traded Stephon Diggs to the Texans. That's wild.
For what, by the way? I mean, they didn't get a first round pick. You didn't get a second round pick. It's a 2025 pick. I'm not making sense of this. And of course, we heard, and we're going to talk about Tampa Bay here in just a moment. But what you heard was there was some chemistry issues, possibly with the team and Diggs, how he wanted to win.
Isn't that with him with every team he's on, though? It just seems like every team he's on, like he's there for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he hates being there. So,
yeah.
Do you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Terrell Owens?
A little bit. That's the third one. A little Brandon Marshall.
Yeah,
a little Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
And come on, the glaring one, just recently, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Come on, you can do it.
Antonio Brown?
A little, not quite, just a little bit.
He's not at that crazy point
yet.
yet.
He's not to the crazy just yet. But I mean, if Houston, Houston was already good. Just look at the offense they're going to have going into this year. Now they've got Joe Mixon in the run game. Now you got Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell is there too. As well. Like the amount of receivers that CJ Stroud can throw to is limitless now. Like you've got so many guys to throw to. That offense is going to be ridiculously good, man.
And I put it out there. I feel like now you have to really put the Texans in the Super Bowl conversation. If you didn't already, you have to put them in there now, right?
Yeah, I would definitely put them in as the division winner, and then deep into playoffs. I mean, they surprised everybody last year how good they did. So I mean, hey, I'll put them in the Super Bowl conversation in the AFC. Why not?
All right, let's have a conversation about the Tampa Bay Rays. And the sky is falling. The sky is falling, according to the fan base on Facebook and social media, that the season was over after, the Rays lost a couple to the Blue Jays there. They lose to the Rangers. Overall, your insights about this Rays team and the beginning of the season, once again, is a long season, right, Bush?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've got how many games? 150 something left. So I mean, it's definitely not time to push the panic button just yet for all the Rays people out there that are just panicking that we lose.
Evan, a little different than last year because I do remember the conversation you and I had. They're 13-0. Oh my God! And the fans were going, "They're gonna go undefeated. It's the best team ever. This is better than the 37 Yankees. Oh my God!" And you and I are going, "Whoa, Nelly."
So let's pump the brakes there. And I'll say that again.
A little bit.
I'll say that again. Pump the brakes on this too. I mean, if the Rays don't win like every single game, everybody loses their damn minds when it comes to this team. I think the last night's game was a good bounce back game, especially for Zach Eflin too.
Great.
Took a shutout into the seventh inning, which Peter, you and I talked about this last night on the Rays Rewind podcast, which our new episode will be dropping later today on the Sick Media Network. It's one of those things where you want a bounce back game, and the pitchers that the Rays coaching staff, they're letting go into deeper innings too, which is great. You're seeing guys going into the sixth, the seventh innings, especially the starters now. That way they're not burning out the bullpen arms. And that's what you want to see in a core pitching rotation. So I'm hoping this trend continues with guys going into latter innings. It's going to be well going forward too with the fresh arms that they will have. But last night's game, and you hope you're going into this the rubber match today. They take 2 out of the 3 from the Rangers, which would be nice to take from the defending champs. But they looked good last night. Offense was there, but I think the pitching overall from Zach Eflin really set the tone as, hey, great bounce back game. That's what we want to see. I think it was 5-0 going into the 7th inning before the 2 runs that the Rangers got. So I mean, that says a lot for Zach Eflin. He's our number one guy in the rotation, and that's what you want to see out of the number one guy.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest concern with this Rays team and a lot to the Rays fan base is the pitching because, of course, you lose McClanahan, you lose Springs, you lose Rasmussen. You may get Rasmussen and Springs back after the All-Star break, which will be the perfect time for this Rays team, especially in the postseason if they're in contention, which I think they are. I predicted at the beginning of the season 95 wins, and I asked Terry, is that a little bit too optimistic on my part? I got to ask you, is that overly optimistic on my part for 95 wins, or is it always what it is with Groundhog Day with the Rays is they will find a way to get this done somehow, some way?
I'm not as generous as you are with the 95 wins. I think I said 92 or 93. I think that's even a stretch for me. I would say maybe 90, 91. But you never know. I've said this before on my show where I would rather have the Rays have a slow start and then catch fire in the second half. And I think I tweeted this out to somebody that was just like, oh, the Rays are terrible. It's just like, look, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And most of the teams that go deep into the playoffs have a slow start and then they catch fire and everything gels together and then you make a run for the playoffs. So, look, I think having them win in the 90s, no matter what if it's 92 or if it's 95, it's not a stretch at all because we've seen this. You got 93?
85.
Yeah, 85. I mean,
85.
Okay.
It could be.
They're not the best team in this division, unfortunately. They're just not. The Yankees are still the Yankees. If they stay healthy, they
let's
should
pump
run
the
away.
let's pump the brakes on
Baltimore
the
is
Yankees.
How about Baltimore? You going to take it away from Baltimore?
No, Peter, did I take that away from Baltimore last night?
No,
How about Toronto, for God's sakes?
We all know the identities of the other team. Look, the Yankees can
Look,
go as
I
far.
love the Rays.
The Yankees can go as far as their offense can take them, but it's
Correct.
the pitching that is going to be their Achilles heel. And right now, their number one guy is not going to be there for a few months. He may not even be here for the year. And when you get deeper into those months in the regular season, you need pitching. And the Yankees don't really have that right now. They have
Evan,
offense.
I got a question for you because you know this team upside down, inside and out. You're like the J.C. Allen of baseball, especially when it comes to the Rays.
Oh, thanks, man.
But honestly, brother, question.
Sure.
Is the farm system stacked with arms that they can bring up and run a bullpen game every couple of weeks?
And that's a big question mark because we hear more about the offense and the regular field players than you do about the arms that they have in the farm system. So most of the guys that we get are from trades. The arms that we get are from trades, pretty much. So, we're hearing more about the Junior Camaneros of the world, the Curtis Meads of the world that are down in the minors right now that are going to make an impact when they come up eventually. We don't hear about impact arms.
Will they be up this year? Can they be called upon is what I'm saying. Because honestly, this is all this team is lacking.
If it comes to the point where the emergency situation happens, they're going to have to. But
so it has to be emergency then.
But the good thing is there are arms that are almost ready to come back. Like the Taj Bradleys of the world, that's ready.
Oh,
he's going to be back pretty soon. Shane Baz, he's going to be back pretty soon. And then the second, the Wizard of Boz. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that to the Wizard of Boz, bro. But then in the second half of the season, obviously you've got to see where the Rays are at in the second half. You've got Springs and Rasmussen coming back in the second half.
Love it. Well. When are they supposed to? The second half?
Second half of the season. You're going to see those guys probably in the latter half, maybe like mid-August, like latter half of the season, depending on how the team does, of course. Now, if they're not doing so well, you don't want to rush those guys
back. You don't rush them. But here's my point. Getting able to come back and being in baseball shape, okay, it does take some time. That's why a lot of great pitchers struggle in the beginning part of the year. Look, man, Tampa could be just fine. They could be one of the favorites to win this division if their arms were healthy. Listen, man, missing McClanahan and who was it?
Springs and Rasmussen.
That really put a hamper on it because offensively, this team is not challenged. Defensively, it's one of the better defensive teams in the entire Major League. They're one of the better defensive teams in baseball, period.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But for those reasons, that's why I have them, at 85 games. Because
I think with the rotation now, with a lot of people, was the question marks going into the season, and I included, was how is this rotation going to look? There's so many questions about how are these pitchers going to be in the rotation, especially with Savali, especially with Pepio, especially with even Eflin,
I like
too.
Savali.
So do I, and I loved his start on Saturday. He did well. So if we get quality starts out of each of those guys, then the offense has to come in later too, because obviously the Rays aren't really known for their offensive power. As long as the pitching is going to be, I would say, I wouldn't say mid to good, as long as they're comparable about going into latter innings, as long as they're able to eat up innings, they're going to do just fine. It's just the offense has to pick up the slack when it comes to scoring runs. Coming into last night, the Rays were outscored 18-5.
Yeah.
18-5. That's scary to
Hills
me.
and Valley, man. Hills and Valleys.
I know it's peaks and valleys. I know.
And then next week they're going to be outscoring their opponents.
Harry, also too, like this opening schedule that they have is one of the hardest schedules compared to last year when it was just a cupcake schedule. Of course, you're going to go 13-0 when you're playing, the A's and the Tigers, but when you
and the White Sox and
exactly
everybody else.
But when you open the season up against a division rival as the Jays, who always give the Rays trouble, and then you're going against the defending champs, it's going to be tough. But you split the series against the Jays. You may take 2 out of the 3 against the Rangers. That's not bad for an opening weeks.
No,
it's not bad at all.
It's not bad.
No, it's not.
All.
That's why I tell everybody on Twitter and Facebook and all the ones that are like, the season, we're going to win 75
I know.
games.
Evan, you should have seen the phone calls we were getting on Monday night. I mean, I thought they were jumping off the Skyway Bridge. Pump your brakes, man.
Yeah.
The team's still going to be competitive. I don't have them winning this division because of those reasons. It's not that I don't like this team. I love the Rays. I want to support the Rays. One of my best friends is the all-time leading saves leader for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes.
Okay.
Roberto.
Right. And this team, I wish them nothing but success. But you know what? I don't want to get into it for another show. But the ownership needs to spend some money. Let's get in some good free agent side of here. Then we wouldn't have to be talking about some of the injuries that they've suffered this year. I'll tell you what, man, they are going to be just fine.
Look, for the discount rates that a lot of the Scott Boras clients were signed for, there's no reason why the Rays couldn't have gone out and gotten the Jordan Montgomerys of the world.
No, there wasn't.
And there's no reason why you couldn't have made like an offer to Blake Snell to come back on a cheap rate too.
That would have been good. Hang on.
Yeah. A lot of those guys that, commanded a top dollars in the offseason, the winter meetings, got signed for discount prices as Scott Boras clients. So I was just kind of when Jordan Montgomery got signed to the Diamondbacks for all teams, it's like, okay, that's a small market team too. We could have gotten that guy for the same price. Why not have said, hey, we're going to sign you. We're going to offer you this to come over to our team.
And by the way, statistics show year in and year out, your above average teams either play the first month of baseball. You ready? Either 500 or below.
Yeah, that's true.
Notoriously, you're bad, or your teams that aren't as good. They start out seasons 13.
Give me a slow start in the first half
and a strong
start in the second.
Just be close.
Yep.
At the All-Star break, and you're within reach, except for the '93 White Sox when they traded everybody, and you're only 2.5 games behind Cleveland. We won't go there, but I'm just saying. You're within a couple of games of first place or even in first place, and you're playing mediocre baseball, and you just have to make 1 or 2 additions, then you can take off. And I anticipate this team will be involved all the way to the end of the season. And I don't think it's going to take 90 wins to win it either.
I think this division is going to be obviously it's competitive each and every year. I think
it's tough.
I think this is the year division. It's going to be the most competitive. Year in the AL East than it has been for a while.
Sorry, Pete. Pete's been wanting to say something.
I know he's been wanting to chime in. I know.
Well, listen, guys, you're having a great conversation here on the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake, along with Harry the Greek here, Evan L. Bushman of the Rays Rewind podcast. I want to try something. Now, let's go out to the phone lines here. Alex, you want to talk about the Rays?
Alex is on.
I know you want to.
I am back. I'm sorry, guys. I was actually I'm in Alabama right now. I'm out for work, so I appreciate you guys. But
you visiting family?
No, I'm working. Man. I travel now. But guys, you guys all made some good points. I think if this team can stay around 500, hear me out. I talked about this at the end of the year, and I talked about this to Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy before this season started and before opening day. If this team can stay around 500, now remember 500, before some of this pitching comes back, I think we have a really good shot. I did say, and I was content with the fact that this was going to be a get healthy year. Not having Glass now no more, getting traded to the Dodgers. Again, your usual opening day started, which would be Shane McClanahan being out for the year. Actually, guys, a quick joke real quick. I got to meet Shane at the Lightning game during the offseason. I asked him, I said, you coming back this year? He looked at me, gave me that grin, and said, I'm like, oh, man. Nah,
I wouldn't want him to come back this year either. That'd be the worst mistake they'd ever made.
No, he pretty much said no. But, guys, if we can get a Taj back, which I heard of May. Get maybe Springs back in there or Boz. I know he's coming back sooner than the other two. But if we can hold around 500 and see where we are at the end of the summer, which is going to be like late July-ish, and see where hopefully at that point we'll have Springs and Rasmussen coming back. I think you bring them up. Don't push them, but bring them up and see if they can give you a couple good quality starts and maybe make that run for the playoff push. But can we talk about this roster just for a second, guys? I am absolutely impressed with this roster. There's one guy that nobody's talking about, and I love this signing, and that is Ahmed Rosario.
We actually talked about him last night on my show. So
yeah, that's right. The Raise Rewind podcast there on the Stick Podcast Network. Yes, we talk about that. Go ahead. And then we got to run here, Alex.
Amazing catch in the outfield, just a versatile type guy, can play infield, of course, can play outfield, can hit the ball. He's had a couple good hits. I know this training.
Are you there?
I think we lost Alex.
Oh, we lost
to the point of what Alex was saying. Yes, he's definitely like almost like a Ben Zobrist 2.0, where you can put him anywhere except for pitcher and catcher, and that's the type of dude. Getting him as a steal too. Like the guys that came over on these 1-year deals wanted to come here. They were like, yeah, I want to come here because of the way the Rays play and how their organization is. So that says a lot about the Rays and how, other players that are cast away by other organizations are, look, I'll come to Tampa Bay for next to nothing, but I know we're going to win.
And you know what? And to Alex's point, he admittedly said it not once, but twice on both phone calls. It's a get healthy season for the Rays.
Exactly.
Get healthy teams don't win divisions. They still play competitive. Okay. But if that's the case, and I don't think that's the case, I think they're going to bring up some kids just like you do. I think they're going to be just fine. And they may even acquire some mid-tier type of pitchers. But man, take me back to the Madden days, please. Please let me see some bullpen games. I was the guy that used to scream, "Oh, I hate the bullpen game." Buddy, that was one of the best things in the world that I've ever seen. It kept offensive players completely on the bench.
Harry, I kind of agree on that, but I think teams are now kind of shying away from the bullpen day and getting back to the old back to roots. Hey, we're going to let our starters go.
Yeah, but that was the staple here. They invented that here in Tampa Bay. And
they did, but they've also seen how it can burn out arms when you do those types of days.
Yeah, but they were bringing minor leaguers up for this, and I'm telling you, man, I'll tell you what, I made some serious scratch. I mean, some serious coin on those bullpen days, betting the unders. I mean, it was just unbelievable because it kept everybody. Well, they've never heard of this pitcher. Surely Miguel Cabrera is going to turn around, take this guy yard. Nope. I mean, it was some of the best baseball that I've seen, and I hated it in the beginning, but from a financial standpoint, betting, I loved it.
I bet you did. Of course, you absolutely made some scratch off that. Last question, and then we're going to get out to another commercial break here on the JP Peterson Show. We're on with Al Bushman of the Rays Rewind podcast there on the Sick Podcast Network, which, by the way, we talked about it. We have a mutual friend there, JC Allen. It's funny that Harry said, you're like the JC Allen. You are the JC Allen there on the Sick Podcast Network with the Tampa Bay Rays. With that being said, Randy Arozarena, to me, it's encouraging right now because not only is this guy, and I feel like he's a kid still, playing in this game, but he's not pulling everything. He's taking the ball to right field, and I feel like if he has that mindset, guys, to take the ball to all field, he's an MVP candidate. What do you say, Al Bushman?
My only hesitation with that statement is how streaky of a hitter he is, because we've seen the flashes of greatness with him going on a hot streak, and then we've seen the coldness he can get when he's on a low streak. So
that's my best Randy.
Yeah, and maybe doing the extra push-ups and the pull-ups he did in the offseason to get big like Yandy could maybe help him out, but I want to see consistency from him, and I think a lot of us last year saw inconsistency, and that's kind of frustrated me about Randy Arozarena last year, was the inconsistency. But I'm not going to take away anything from him, so I want to see consistency at the plate. And then I definitely, if he keeps on this track, he can definitely be an MVP candidate.
All right, to L. Bushman, thanks a lot for your time here on the JP Peterson Show. Go ahead and promote yourself.
Yeah, new episode drops of the Rays Rewind podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. Go to our YouTube page, subscribe, hit the notification bell at the Sick Podcast Rays Rewind. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Evan, you're the best, brother.
He is, and we'll definitely get him on Sports Web. You guys are going back and forth on it. I loved it. Tell you what, let's take a quick break. 3-minute quick break. Let's pay those sponsors here on the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake. Along with
JP, we're paying the bills.
We are paying your bills here. We're not trying to wreck your show. Enjoy that vacation, my friend. You absolutely deserve it. It's a pure joy to be your co-host and your producer on this show. So we're definitely going to make it work. And we're going to have the debut of Best of the Bay, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, after this break here on the JP Peterson Show. Keep it locked.
Hey, it's a great time to buy a house and get a mortgage with American Mortgage Services. Okay, I got your attention now. But JP, rates are at 8%. That's true. But I spoke with our friend Scott Fitzgerald at AMS Tampa, and this is what smart people are doing. Rates peaked at 8% last month, but they've come down, and AMS recently locked some folks in the high 6s. Prices have also stabilized or dropped in some areas. So if you're going to eventually buy, now is the best time to get the house you want. Fitz will get you the best rate out there, shopping it around to dozens of lenders. And when rates come down in a year or so and the frenzy begins again, prices go bananas again, you will already have the pick of the litter. Then he will refinance you and keep costs at nearly zero because that's what they do at AMS Tampa. You're back at 4% in the house you wanted while others fight the frenzy. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, NMLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Astor Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake, along with Harry the Greek. Open phone lines. We're going to continue to have the open phone lines if you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as the question is out there. What is the biggest need for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the draft, in your opinion? Is it offensive line? Is it edge rusher here? As we'll go out to Alex here in just a moment. Okay. Of course, your Tampa Bay Rays. But before we get to all that, I got to get this guy on because we were teasing him. He was saying, when can I come on the JP Peterson show? And I said, you can call in. And he looked at me in disgust. And I said, you know what? This guy is best of the Bay, one of my good friends, one of the founding fathers, if you will, one of the originals on the sidewalk at Ferg's there. Mr. Yes, he is an OG.
Here comes the confetti. Here comes the confetti. Here it is.
Mr. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Welcome to the JP Peterson show here as we're talking Rays. We got Alex on the line. Alex wants to call in. Man, that cell signal in Alabama, man, is not very good.
I promise I'm in a good area now.
All right, but Ray, let's hear from you first. Your general thoughts on the Tampa Bay Rays. Welcome to the JP Peterson show.
Brothers, first of all, thanks for having me. I have a face for phone, Pete, is I think how we put it. He said I could call into the JP Peterson show at any time. But I'll tell you what, Alex will probably agree with me on this. We've seen the AL East getting better and better each year. Of course, last year the Orioles win the division. So the Rays over the last 4 years, going on 5, they've had the most success against the teams within their division. We heard about how the Blue Jays were getting better. We know the Yankees are getting better. The Red Sox are going in reverse. But the AL East got even better this offseason. And then we start the season off against, playing here at home and then also hosting the defending world champion Texas Rangers. It was a bit of a start. And in contrast to last season, starting 14-0, of course, this is a bit of a letdown, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think Rays fans, we need to remember the fact of the matter is we still have one of the better teams and the best farm systems in the entire major leagues. It's going to settle down. It's going to be a long play.
Where are you at today, by the way? Because it seems festive there.
Whiskey Wings?
No, I'm telling you what, I got to thank the staff down here, Chris, the manager, and Brooke, the bartender down here at the $5 Drinkery right here in Pinellas Park. Of course, I've got the new $5 Drinkery there in Seminole, Harry, right by the house, and then we've got the one down in Central. And if you're looking for a place to watch the women's Final Four on Friday night or the men's finals this weekend, March Madness, maybe the Augusta, the golf here in a couple of weeks, $5 Drinkery, you got to get in here and check the vibe out. I want to thank the entire staff. They're just locking it down.
All right, so let's go out to Alex here. Alex, go ahead and finish your thought.
I told you it was 4:30 somewhere.
And then, you shut up, Harry. Stop giving him ideas. Alex, go ahead.
But guys, as Ray said, you can't expect a team that going into this year with all these injuries that you're going to expect to start 13-0, 12-0, or whatever it was we started. Incredible start last year, by the way. We'll never forget it. It was a blast. I remember sitting in one of my season tickets that I have again this year. Thankful for that. Having the big 162-0 sign because we were pumped. But guys, let's put the brakes on this team for a minute. And let's realize that the fact that we do have some injuries this year, as Evan was saying, and I have to agree with what Harry said before, of course, my service went out.
Wait a minute. How's frozen over here, Alex? You're agreeing with Harry the Greek? I mean,
I never do. But
clear.
I'm gonna say something that he said that I agree upon. Well, he didn't really say this, but I'm gonna put it into context.
Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta get a recording.
There's one thing that puts this team down. You know what that is?
What's that?
Stu puts this team down. Now I'm gonna tell you why. Evan touched base on it. Why couldn't you go out and get a guy like Jordan Montgomery or a guy like, that extra piece? This Rays team always typically, minus last season, which, by the way, my hats go off to the Texas Rangers because they just had an incredible ball club. Yeah. And honestly, I was not disappointed that they ended up winning the World Series. They deserved every bit of that. But we are always short that one big piece. You would think that, Stu making his, and by the way, on a side note, before I go to this last context of a point, people need to realize before you bash our fan base, because our fan base gets bashed a lot, and I get it. We don't show up, and I get it, but people need to realize who our owner truly is.
Thank you.
We have an owner that that one season, let's move to Montreal. The next season, we're going to take this team to Nashville. Hey, I got a better idea. Let's do a split plan. Let's see if that works. Oh, now that you got a multi-billion-dollar long-term investment in your pocket, now we want to stay in St. Pete, thinking that's okay with its fan base. We have been played for how many years, guys?
Bamboozled.
So
Bamboozled would be the word.
That
yes.
we don't.
Yes.
This team has a fan base,
Hmm.
but as a season ticket holder and watching the empty stands more often than not, it is disappointing. But people have to realize we are always short every year because our owners just don't care. And Evan truly touched base on it. Why couldn't you go out and get that extra pitcher or two, especially with Scott out there making these deals that he's been able to make this offseason for the low, really not that expensive. Like I said, he touched base on a one big pitcher. Jordan Montgomery would have been perfect for this Rays team. Good team, not too expensive of a signing. But it's just disappointing to have the ownership that we have. But as I was saying before I got cut off, because again, I'm traveling in the middle of Alabama somewhere.
Right.
I think if this Rays,
Go ahead.
if this Rays team is going to be successful,
Okay.
if we can stay around 500 again before some of these arms come back, I think this team has a true good chance because.
How many wins, Alex? And then we got to run.
120.
You shut up, Harry. Be quiet.
I'm gonna keep it into context based off everything I know. I don't think it wins the division.
Okay.
But I would say
Really?
90, 92 wins.
Okay.
And again, I don't see us being division winners. Don't complain, guys. We got injuries. We're banged up. But I'm telling you before I go, I want y'all to watch out in 2025 because if you get Shane McClanahan, you get Zach Eflin, you get Jeffrey Springs, you get Drew Rasmussen, you get Taj Bradley. Look at those 5 rotational guys. Savali's looking insane. Look out in 2025 at this starting rotation.
Alex, I like the thought process. I appreciate
Thanks,
the call
guys.
here on the JP Peterson Show. Let me get out to you, Tampa Bay Ray. The question was posed besides race talk because we've been killing that. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And there was a breaking news story here. Stephon Diggs traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. First and foremost, in your opinion, does that make them a Super Bowl contender? And then the second question would be, where's the Bucs' biggest need at this point? Is it offensive line or is it edge? First question, Diggs, then the Bucs.
The crazy thing is DeMarco Ryans goes in there in an AFC South when you had Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville. That was supposed to be the creme de la creme, but all of a sudden the Texans jump out front there. I think it 100% continues to add to the offensive side with C.J. Stroud. You get a running game with that defense, makes them at least a favorite in the AFC, probably top 5. And as far as the Buccaneers go, it's going to be offensive line, right? We can decipher. You're talking with J.C. Allen from Sports Illustrated and Harry Yu with the Hainsey and breaking the film down with Mock at right guard. And so you can always fortify the offensive line. And now that you've put that money in Baker Mayfield, you've invested in a $30 to $35 million a year quarterback moving forward. You got to keep him upright and protect him. So I think that offensive line continues to be the creme de la creme. And then linebacker has to be something they're looking at, even with the success they're continuing to have. So you can continue building that out and keeping those dogs in the middle.
All right, but as Harry takes a bow here, we're on the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake along with Harry the Greek, best of the Bay, Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, would you shut up?
I got your highlight.
Let me
I got
go
your
ahead.
highlight when you get home. Okay.
That's what it is right there. Let me convince you of this because the Bucs have already kind of addressed. They've addressed it with getting 2 guards and free agency. What they haven't done, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, is go out there and get an edge. You just got rid of Shaq Barrett. I mean, you got JTS and Nelson. They are just guys at this point. I get it. You got the building blocks and Kalijah Kancey and Yaya Diaby, but you need another guy. And to me, you need not only just another guy.
I want to draft that guy that's got the porn star name. I'm sorry. Big Johnson. What's his name?
Big Johnson.
No, really. What was his name?
The big unit, Randy Johnson?
No. What was his name?
Jackson Powers Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, think about Ray. Seriously, how much fun are you and I going to have with that guy's name coming up in the draft?
JP
Randy Powers Big Johnson, whatever it is. Hey, what's your name?
You want to hear an interesting thing? I was breaking down because I'm talking, the draft is coming up, and I'm like, well,
And folks, this is where the show turns.
Where has Jason Light gone wrong? And he hasn't done many things wrong, but one of the things he's had, and Peter, you just talked in the last segment about, you were talking with Harry about Tristan Wirfs, and we could talk about the things that have went right there with a Mike Evans. But you start looking back over since 2014, you got a Vernon Hargraves, you got, a Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, you've got a O.J. Howard. So there are those big misses in the first round. I guess I'm hearing that the ship has sailed, I think, on JTS, but I still think that kid's got incredible speed off the side. I don't know if Shaq Barrett, now no longer with the team, allows him to spread his wings. Is there a plan there? Or if not, then you're right. Edge has to be probably the second most important addressed issue with this Buccaneers in 2024.
And I think it's a defensive-minded coach. You look at the division overall. I mean, how do you counteract a Kirk Cousins? You get after him. How do you counteract a Derek Carr? You get after him. How do you counteract a Bryce Young? You get after him. And look, you have a quarterback here that you just paid. I get it. You have the offensive line, but I think you could go in that second or third round, get those diamonds in the rough, which is what Jason Light has done throughout his drafting career.
And just the comment you just made is the reason why Todd Bowles gets beat up on year in, year out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because what did you say? You heard it. He's a defensive-minded coach, so obviously he's going to go with that player. So if they do pick up a defensive edge rusher, even though he was the best player in the draft, and let's just say Baker struggles again, you see, that's what you get with defensive-minded coaches. Ray, take it over.
Well, I'll tell you what I saw last year in the development, it wasn't so much that Shaq took a step back. He played so well early in the season, Harry, against your Chicago Bears. But I find with the Kirk Cousins now there in Atlanta, the fact of the matter is you still want the defensive line to be blowing it up. But, man, blowing it up from the inside out would even be worse on a non-mobile type of a Kirk Cousins, right? So
with an Achilles tear.
Right, you got Logan Hall, you still have Vita Vea, you got Adams, so you still have these dogs inside. I think that if the right edge rusher falls to the Bucs at 24 or in a second, then you grab them. But I think that you got a fortified line from inside and blowing up in the middle, and that would make a Bryce Young uncomfortable because Bryce Young's only 4'3". You got Kirk Cousins non-mobile, and you got Carr there in New Orleans, so that might be the issue.
I'm going to announce it right here. Kirk Cousins is done.
He's done.
That injury at that age, you don't come back from. Just like I'm going to announce here on the JP Peterson show, Aaron Rodgers, good luck.
And I'll tell you what, Harry, I'll back that up. Kirk Cousins saw us last year, week 1. This Buccaneers defense went into Minnesota and gave that guy nightmares for the entire season. So I've got to imagine when he went down there and talked to Raheem Morris and the staff in Atlanta, he's like, look, we'll have to get rid of the ball really fast because the Bucs blow it up. Well, the Bucs can blow up that middle, but you can also drop dogs back in short coverage and blow up that short passing game. So I think that, we had Michael Vick. We have mobile quarterbacks. The Buccaneers have always, Donovan McNabb going back to 99. The Buccaneers have a history against mobile quarterbacks, able to keep them in the pocket and keep them contained because we're good against the run. And I think that Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, unless he knows something we don't, he's just grabbing that money. I think you're right, Harry. I think Kirk Cousins does not have the success in Minnesota that he thinks he might have had under O'Connell there in Minnesota.
Last but not least, Ray, did you know that Atlanta is now the favorite to win the NFC South because of that one signing? Just want, and for all the people that are out there that like to dibble and dabble a little bit with poker, not poker, but with gambling on sports, buddy, I'm telling you, this has got written all over it so badly for Tampa because their over and under is going to drop by a game, maybe even 2 games.
All right. I'm going to read this comment really quick, and then we'll get you out of here. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, thanks a lot for your time. We'll get out to the media icon himself, the human lottery ticket. In my opinion, he is Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, college football coast to coast. Yeah, TJ Reeves. We got Tulio here. Says, weird to see you guys in the daytime, but dig it. Bucs trade back to get more picks. That's certainly a possibility. Tampa Bay Ray, thanks a lot for your time here on the JP Peterson Show. We'll see you soon, my friend. All right.
I got to tell you this. I want to thank the staff here again at $5 Drinkery. You got Chris, you got Brooke, the bartender. But I got to tell, when you talk to TJ next, tell TJ I said I'm going on with Peter Blake. I'm in with Harry the Greek. I'm on a JP Peterson Show. The manager, Chris, is like, oh, I know you. You're good. I said, oh, and TJ Reeves. Oh, well, then set up wherever you want. The place is yours. Thanks for having me, guys. And let's have a great day in Tampa Bay.
Did you say the wings were on TJ as well?
The human lottery ticket, TJ Reeves. Yes, sir.
All right, good stuff there, Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, we'll come back. We'll take a quick break. And when we do come back here, we will get TJ Reeves on. Of course, this segment brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. Any legal matters at all, definitely consult the Jeeves Law Group. Keep it locked here. 3 quick minutes, and we'll be back with the media icon, Mr. TJ Reeves, on the JP Peterson Show.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake along with Harry the Greek. JP on vacation. Enjoy your vacation, partner. As we got this guy coming on right now. I've already talked him up enough, but to me, he is the human lottery ticket for all the reasons that I mentioned. The media icon of the Buccaneer Radio Network, college basketball, coast to coast. He's up so late with my tag team partner of the world, Mr. Jason Powers, Mr. TJ Reeves. Welcome to the JP Peterson Show here on FanStream Sports. And I got to start off with this. We asked the fans today, what is the biggest need for the Bucs in the draft? Is it offensive line? Is it edge? Welcome to the show.
All right, so we'll get into that in a couple of moments. Let's establish a couple of things. First of all, I don't know, is it night or day or what? I mean, you guys are usually the night owls, and now you're doing this together. The other thing is, Greek, I continue to maintain the same thing. I see you in that kitchen over and over and over again, and you're never cooking when we're on the show.
I always cook.
Cooking with the Greek has got to become a staple of a future show somehow.
You have no
way.
idea. TJ, first off, thank you so much for even coming on. It's nice to see you again as usual. A little known fact that I love to cook.
You've told me that.
I absolutely
But I
love
want some
to cook.
visual evidence that there's cooking with the Greek going on in that kitchen. So at
Cooking
some point,
and gambling with the Greek would
that
be
would
awesome.
be fantastic.
And I'll
You know,
have to
where
have
you're-
my boys come over. So
You're,
little
you're
out of
mixing,
me.
you're mixing, and you're talking about a first half prop. Whatever
Yep,
you got to,
that's
you know.
it. That's it.
Okay.
By the way,
Second
TJ,
thing.
great work with the NCAA.
I'm glad you're
buddy.
enjoying it.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable.
All right, we'll talk
You
some
and
more. We're going
Jason.
to do some more live stuff. I'm headed to the desert tomorrow. Peter's like, "Can you get on the show? Can you get on the show?" I said, "Peter, the lottery ticket is coming your way because tomorrow I'm headed to the desert. So I'm out there in Phoenix for the Final Four. So I'm here today with you. One more thing before we get into the Buccaneer talk and anything else you want to travel. I love Ray. Ray's at the location. What was the name of the location again?
$5 Brewery.
Okay, I can't believe at $5 Brewery when they said TJ's name that they didn't toss him out. I'm glad that he is still there and allowed to be there despite dropping my name. That could be a dangerous thing. I'm just kidding.
Oh, there
But I'm glad he had a good time there with that. As for the Buccaneer talk, because I got to get back into this mode with the draft coming up, etc. What do I keep saying, Peter Blake? You cannot have enough wide receivers. You cannot have enough edge rushers. You cannot have enough cover corners. If you're taking any of those three positions, free agency or the draft, I am all about it because everybody's playing 3 or 4 receivers. Everybody's playing 3, 4, 5 defensive backs all the time, and you can't have enough edge rushers. So I'm not copping out. I'm saying I'm fine with any of that. If you made me choose best available interior offensive lineman versus best available edge pass rusher, not me, not the Bucks, not Jason Light in that front office, I would say interior offensive lineman. I would look guard center. The Greek is having hot flashes here. Midlife crisis. I would say interior offensive lineman. So am I agreeing with him, Peter Blake? Am I agreeing with him?
You are agreeing with them, and we've been going back and forth on this. We carried this over. We started this on the sports web. This guy's been saying interior line. And listen, I understand that. That's definitely a need. We talked about
Gotta keep him up,
Jackson,
right, TJ?
Powers, Johnson, the center from Oregon. If he's there, I definitely think you have to consider it. A Barton from Duke. Those are the names. But just knowing Jason Light and his history, and you always have to apply that. He likes that challenge of going out and getting a guy in the second or third round. And to me, they've already kind of addressed that in free agency with the guard from the Giants and the Eagles at this juncture. So they haven't addressed it in free agency. And look, guys, if free agency is your biggest indicator, I feel like the indicator would point to an edge rusher, but we shall see.
All right. So interesting on your point. Luke Gedeke was a second-round pick 2 years ago. They tried to make him into a left guard. Didn't go well by anybody's measure. Did not go well. They put him back. Hey, at his natural position, right tackle, he was tremendous last year. All right. They worked Cody Mauch, the rookie, in from North Dakota State, and he played the entire year. Are they happy with him at right guard? Probably is the answer. The real question becomes: Robert Hainsey has had to be your center in each of the last couple of years, and Hainsey is not a natural center. He's admirably filled in there. Is that where you're looking at an upgrade, like you mentioned, with the Oregon player or someone else as a center? And we'll see. I mean, they know that situation in that room. They know that situation of are we targeting a center? Are we happy enough at left guard? Do we maybe make Hainsey the left guard if it comes to it? Is it one of these veterans that you've signed? That are basically, they've been reserves with the Eagles and played some with the Giants. I still think interior offensive line might be the look here. Might be the look in the early round.
All right, let's talk about the Final Four being said. Of course, North Carolina State. I think this is more of a David versus Goliath because North Carolina State came out of nowhere, but it's not how you start; it's how you finish. They finish strong. The
Incredible.
automatic bid and the AC.
David versus nobody.
Well,
right. UConn looks
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, right now, I was just doing the handicapping show, and Harry, you love this. So Alabama's a 12-point underdog. Handicapper said, okay, if it is Purdue is still probably like a 5 or 6 point underdog, something like that. If it's NC State, they are likely going to be like a 14-point underdog
20
or 14 and a half. I don't think it'll be 20. I don't think it'll be 20, but likely if they're playing UConn, NC State in the championship game, probably 14 or 14 and a half. You would have to look. You and I speak this language, not so much Peter. You might have to go back to John Wooden UCLA national championships to find if they were ever favored by 13 or 14 points in a title game.
I hate to say this. I would actually lay the wood, and I don't ever lay that kind of. That's point spread, Peter. I would never lay that kind of spread on that.
But you would look at UConn.
Yeah,
with that
but
number.
I have to look at UConn and take it.
But
TJ, did you ever see anything as dominating as that Illinois game? Illinois was really good. 23-23. They went 50 minutes. Not 50 clock minutes, 50 minutes without scoring a single point.
Because of the 20-minute halftime. I'm with you. 30-0 run, and Illinois is good, and UConn put it on them. But unfortunately, this game starts at 0-0 with Alabama. We'll see how it goes. But on the NC State point, contemplate this for the JP Peterson audience, FanStream JP, with Peter and Harry in the audience. Thank you for hanging in.
Yeah.
NC State had lost their final 4 regular season games. They had lost 7 of 9. Infighting, they've admitted this, infighting within the program, who's going to transfer, guys not showing up on time for meetings, screwing around in practice. All right, they're playing the first game in the ACC tournament. They've got to play 5 games to win the tournament. They're in the opening night against awful Louisville, and Louisville knows they're firing their coach, and they are losing to Louisville. Hello, McFly. They're losing to Louisville at halftime. There is a distinct possibility they're going to lose that game in Washington, D.C. 3 weekends ago, and Kevin Keats, the coach, is going to get fired. Instead, they turn around and win that game. They turn around and beat Duke. They turn around and then beat North Carolina in the championship game.
I know.
And the coach, Kevin Keats, gets an automatic 2-year contract extension because he won the ACC tournament. It's a clause in his deal. He's maybe fired back on Wednesday if they lose to Louisville. He's now got a raise in 2 more years on his deal. Now we turn around and they advance into this tournament where they've beaten NC State in the opening game, or they've beaten Texas Tech in the opening game. They've beaten Marquette. They've beaten Duke again.
Marquette,
they have won
of all teams, Marquette was good too.
They were good. They've won 9 postseason games the last 3 weekends. How do you go against that mojo, maybe against the number here against Purdue? Maybe you got to be looking at NC State with the number, with the plus money against Purdue in this game. 9 postseason wins.
They're plus 350, just to let you know, if they win the game outright. They're catching 9.5 points. But in order to take the 9.5 points with NC State, you got to lay 120. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. They're trying to get you to bet Purdue because
my understanding,
we're
again,
we're even money.
We're getting deep into the handicap. My understanding, though, Purdue opened at like 12 as a 12-point favorite, and it got immediately bet down, Peter, all the way down to 9 or 8.5 right now. And there's some belief that there will be big money come in on Purdue, probably Friday night, something like that may move it back up to a 10-point line, an 11-point line. But NC State mojo, guys.
TJ, I don't ever bet against streaks. And I'm not that guy that says, well, they're on the do theory. They're on the do theory to lose. Nobody. You just don't touch it. If you can't play NC State, don't play it.
Okay.
Don't play it.
Stay away from Purdue.
All right.
Because Peter loves this before we have to go.
Yeah.
There is this thing called.
I want to go, to tell you the truth.
I understand, but you love the tidiest of the sphinctiest factor. If Purdue late in this first half or early second half is missing shots and NC State's making shots and it's a tie game Purdue is the one with the tidiest of the sphinctiest here in the second half of the Final Four game.
I got to catch this clip. I love this.
I know. They're going to play.
They're
going to play tight, baby. They're going to play tight in the second half of this game. So if it's close, let's see what happens. And look, everybody believes that UConn is going to swat Alabama. Again, if you've not watched them, Alabama loves to run and gun. They will legitimately shoot 35, maybe 40 3-pointers in this game, just like Peter Blake on the blacktop playing shirts and skins. Just fire the threes. They're going to fire 35 or 40 threes in this game. How many do they make, Harry? How many do they make, Peter? Can they make 13, 14, 15 threes? If they can probably hang in the game. Yeah. If it's Brick City, if it's lots of misses, we're talking about UConn looking for back-to-back titles. The last back-to-back is who? The Florida Gators. 2006, 2007.
That's right, Peter.
The Chomp.
Say it,
the
Peter.
Chomp is the
Say it,
last
Peter.
repeat winner. UConn is the first team, by the way, since that Florida team as the defending champion to come back to the Final Four the next year. Never mind being the title game with a chance to win it. UConn is the first team in 17 years to come to the Final Four with a chance at the repeat.
Who do you like in the women's?
Yeah. How do you go against Caitlin Clark with what we've seen? But then again, UConn with Gino Oriyama. Harry, how much money could we win on the wager? UConn's not won a national title in women's basketball since 2016. You talk about thirsty. You talk about thirsty. Gino and them, they want this. They want to knock Caitlin Clark out. They want to be in the title game. Paige Beckers is an outstanding player. Obviously, South Carolina loaded, undefeated. It is not going to be easy for Iowa to get this done. But, man, you're talking about all-time stuff. You're talking about 5 to 7 times more audience watching this because Caitlin Clark's dropping 35 or 40 points a game, and she can pass the ball, by the way. This will be a lot of fun all weekend, and maybe it is UConn when it's all said and done.
All right, your pick really quick because we got to run here, and I hate to end this segment because we got like 82 people watching right now.
That's all right. I thought the audience numbers go down when I show up. I didn't know.
We're going to have Cooking with TJ and the Greek, baby. Cooking it up. We're going to rock it up and lock it up.
A little red sauce and a little NC State +9. What else do you need, Peter, before I'm gone?
Your picks here. North Carolina State versus Purdue, Alabama versus UConn. I picked UConn to win. Did you pick UConn to win?
I got UConn in every bracket, and I had UConn playing Duke, so I guess I got to go chalk here. Call me a wuss. I got to go UConn Purdue in the title game. I think the Magic does run, but Greek, you make a great point. Don't get in front of the streak. Don't get in front of the heater. They've won 9 postseason games in a row. I think in the end, Zach Edey's too tough. The Goliath, 7'4.5", 300 pounds. I don't think they get him in foul trouble. I think this is Purdue and UConn, and I think it's a repeat. I have thought it was a repeat all March. I think it's a repeat for UConn come Monday night.
All right, TJ Reeves, the great human lottery ticket here, the media icon. Go ahead and promote yourself here on JP.
Hey, we will be on the College Basketball Coast to Coast platforms, on social media, on podcasts, and the live TuneIn channel. We'll be live on TuneIn on the College Basketball Coast to Coast channel. You'll see us on video. You'll hear us on TuneIn live Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday from the desert. I'm headed to Arizona for the Final Four, and I promise you this, relay the message to JP. I know he's on vacation. I will be with you guys Tuesday morning before I fly back. Tuesday morning, Final Four recap with TJ from Arizona on the JP Peterson Show next Tuesday after it's all over, whatever happens. Always good to be with you.
And absolutely tell Jason Powers I said hello. The great TJ Reeves, the media icon of the Buccaneer Radio Network, college basketball coast to coast. I know we went over. I don't care.
It's all right.
For today.
TJ, give the Greek an oppa.
Oppa.
There you go, baby.
There you go. All right. Good stuff. See you later, TJ Reeves. Right there. Great stuff from him.
He's a consummate pro, man.
He is.
Nobody better
than
TJ. Serious. The end.
You're exactly right. Thanks a lot to all the guests today. Thanks to JP, my partner in crime, for letting me host this show with, of course, Harry the Greek, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, of course, JC Allen, TJ right there, L. Bushman. Just a great cast of characters today. Definitely tune in every day from 10 a.m. To noon for some of the greatest Tampa Bay sports local content. Go Lightning tonight. Go Rays. And we'll see you soon here on the JP Peterson Show. Have a great day.